Alright, I've started 2 episodes in the same room, funnily enough, but it's just because this is a big chunky area to explore. A lot going on there. Why? That's a 4-sided basalt column. That's illegal. Excuse me. Just gonna make like fucking trapezoids or whatever. Don't think I don't see you there. What in the world? This truly is a Lovecraftian nightmare. This non-Euclidean geometry? The greatest horror of all. I don't remember it that well, but I remember somebody going like, I don't think Lovecraft is much of a mathematician, because non-Euclidean geometry just means all geometry that's not on a flat plane or something. Or something along those lines, where it's just like non-Euclidean is just like not a big deal. He's like, ah, it's non-Euclidean and a light and a color that no one can see. Ooh, a new color, and like stuff like some of his stories are kind of funny if you don't take them entirely seriously, because they invite themselves to not being taken entirely seriously. Like, yes, it's called ultraviolet. It's ultraviolet light, Mr. Lovecraft. I'm talking out my ass though, because I only know Lovecraft via video games. I did ambitiously go out and buy the complete works of Lovecraft book at one point, this giant tome, but I have not opened it. And I maybe regret getting it in that form, because I'm sure that when I open it, it's just going to be like reams of tiny text, because it's one of those like, I've learned the hard way that whenever there's like a collection book where they try to jam everything into one book, it's like, alright, well, you're gonna have an uncomfortable time reading it, but hey, you got it all conveniently in one book. Was it worth it? Like, they sell the entire Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like, saga of like 5 books or whatever as one book. But you have to like squint. And it's like, okay, it's a long time commitment to be uncomfortable the whole time.
It's curious, but it's the first time since I got sick that I feel useful. Harry is depending on me, and not the other way around.
Unfortunately, he may not be alive. But depending is a strong way to put it. And you've also probably doomed yourself. Like, if anything can temper all the fear coming our way, it's probably just the perpetual knowledge that it's probably already too late for all of us. Hooray.
What odd structure. It doesn't look like a building, though.
The columns, they're not interlocking correctly. This isn't how they work. That has to match up with that. Like, they're spaced out. It's weird. It's bothering me. They get it sometimes, then other times they don't. These hieroglyphs, these people did bad drawing. They did it bad. But no, they seem to be saying that like the basalt columns are just like evoked via the mind. So as much as it's a trope to put these everywhere, especially during Lovecraft stuff and everything, in this particular case it's explicitly like magic, evil town building with your mind, where you put it all together that way. So basically, yeah, this is like Zerg creep. Like an infection of basalt columns. Why are those ones just floating there? Don't they grow out of the ground? Like, even in this version of the story? It's interesting because they acknowledge erosion here and there, because there's these crumpled piles at the bottom, which would acknowledge the alluvium, the breakdown of this stuff in the waves and whatnot. Like the idea that they'd be crumpling because they're insecure and that they're not just permanently like this. Like they could be chipped away at by nature. And so there's just like a bunch of debris down here. None of the debris looks like a fallen column though. like, yeah, a lot of it would be busted up here and there, but there would also just be like literally just like columns but fallen over on the ground, like a few feet of it here and a few feet of it there, just kind of like dry noodles that have been snapped in twain. If you see like these places in real life, you see stuff like that. But then I keep having stuff like this where it's like a weird overhang, like this rock right here is somehow just hanging in there with no above or below to keep it in place. Like there's no real structural integrity. It's a little harrowing. That makes that little spot they put those planks over all the more terrifying, because those don't look secure. And I'm like, I don't know if I trust that. I feel like they might just collapse under the weight of a person.
I don't know if someone in the expedition was a cook, but I really hope they didn't rely on Harry for it. When he lived in the dormitory, he only ate out of tomato soup and corn cans. I've never seen anybody with such poor nourishment.
That's distressing, yeah. I hate that whole idea. But this is the real answer. As beautiful as the level design looks, you can actually see it's one like that. It's this asset is right here, 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 is right here. So it's the same piece of rock wall being repeated over and over again and rescaled over and over again in order to fill in the whole formation. If you don't look directly at specific parts of it, it's a good illusion. But if you stare at it like really up close, you're like, ah, I see the exact repeating checkerboard pattern happening here. And that's pretty common, I think, for rocks. A lot of like rock debris that makes up the walls of player environments tend to just be like one boulder, essentially, or a handful of different boulders that are being repeated and rescaled over and over again. It's just that when you keep repeating like a boulder like this to fill in the area, usually it doesn't feel like you're explicitly like breaking rules when you place it. Whereas with these ones, it's like, but how do the basalt columns work? And when they keep copy pasting them and resizing them, you're like, but no, how do they work? What's going on? There's more rules than normal about how they're supposed to look. It also creates a really observable pattern, so you'll suddenly be really... It's suddenly a lot easier to notice when it's repeating. As opposed to like these rocks that are relatively featureless, so it's hard to like latch onto a specific part. Can you walk across this? Seems awfully bridge-like. What's the deal with that?
A burned photo. I can't make out what's in it.
A device. A little grabby claw sort of thing. It's got a little semicircle on one end. Looks like a bone, like a forearm, the way that our arms have two bones that parallel each other. We're getting very hazy.
I've been interested in knowing how things work since I was a child, but I always thought technology wasn't for me. What nonsense.
An audible hum.
This ornate structure certainly isn't natural, but not man-made either.
I mean, it could be man-made. It's just be very impressive. I know this is a Lovecraft story, so it's the wrong time to like stand on a soapbox about this. So obviously it's not applicable because it is a supernatural nonsense thing. But it is kind of annoying how people are constantly like, how could this have ever been made? It must have been aliens. It's like, no, it's just you have a condescending view of other cultures and don't think that they could possibly pull off anything impressive, let alone something better than what your culture's ever done. Like, whoa. We've never made something like that.
That huge stone door.
How did
looks
they
like
ever
an
do
exit.
that? That's
How does it
impossible.
open?
Yeah, that seems non-interactive at the moment. Look at these. They're the tiniest little baby columns. Oh, spindly. Still with that one floating rock in the middle, because they always do.
This feels ominous.
What could go wrong? Click. Oh. Kind of thought something was gonna happen. More noticeably. Like it was gonna lock me in or something. So that's the 2. That's the 1. That one's like... Oh, she didn't write that one down, huh? Nope. I think that one was like the 5 or the 6th. Ooh. Okay, here it is. So that one's 6. This one's hollowed out. It's a basin. You gotta put your hexagonal thing in it. What is up with that one? That one looks weird. There's a lot of weirdness going on with that particular chunk. Somebody was sleeping here. Maybe Henry? Because he seemed to be obsessing over the ruins and he apologized for waking everybody else up upstairs. 3. 4. Oh, wait, that one was already... That one was already in the other position. Whoops. What? Do I want them to be up or down, I wonder? There's like a white area below 3 and 5. Was it like that before? I thought I had to press them in a correct order, but maybe not. Okay, now 3 is like this, so now I need to find 5 and flip that one, and then this whole thing will look complete. I guess 5 is the one that's top and bottom. Let's finish exploring before I fuck something up, though. Open,
Must be
closed.
instructions to operate this bizarre structure.
Tuning the organ by opening and closing the right tubes. There it is.
Those symbols seem to indicate the height of the tide.
Yeah, so we're currently almost down. Yeah, there we go. I figured we'd see in the environment. And I guess it makes sense. I kind of thought that we'd see an empty diamond that had currently had a certain state of fullness or something, but no. There's just a literal scale. There's an actual literal scale just on a wall somewhere, and you can just watch the water go up and down. You're like, ah, that's the current height. So now we might have what we need to solve that puzzle. Oop. I walked right past it just now. Is that the organ? It might be the organ, because it's like a top of an organ pipe with the way that the front is cut out. I don't know what organ, I don't know what the words are for organs. So just putting them in that position is not the answer. Is it just that they're all currently closed or open or whatever? Whatever this thing said. Okay, so currently they're all open. That's what it means when it's black. And if I put it back down, it's closed. So if I put the right sequence in, it probably opens that gate. Shiny. I don't think we have this code yet, though, right? If nothing else... Oh, hexagons. Wait, those are octagons. You've broken the lore. No, if nothing else, we'll probably use the tide scale to compare. I thought we might have to use the tide scale to decode this with that and figure out this piano shit, which I'm still not sure what to do with that yet. But I think we might just use it to decode what the combination is for the organ right now. Because if I think the idea is you have to play particular notes in order to open this door, right? But well, not really theorizing. That was explicitly said. But what I mean is that
I'm quite scared of storms. When I was a child, I used to cover myself with the sheets to not listen to the noise of thunder. I honestly doubt I'd like to cover myself with anything in here. Time to overcome my fears, I guess.
But what I mean is that we probably have to calibrate the organ based on the current water level. So now that we've measured the water level, like that's also reinforced by the fact that the water level measurement is right there. Because that's like useful information for the people that know how to calibrate it. So now we need to offset the entire thing to match. So we're currently at that one.
I think this is the right one.
Yep. They make my job pretty easy here. I'm not having to do any writing down. They even straight up like, yep, that's the correct one. Don't go any further. And then they just add the answer to the notes. So yeah, this is definitely a lighter puzzle game. In fact, it seems like most of the puzzles amount to basically being combination locks that you mostly find by just fully exploring each area and then making a relatively minor connection and then be like, aha, that thing with that thing. There's not a ton to it. Still, the standard is so fucky that this is probably one of the better Lovecraft games that I've played. The visuals carry it a lot. But there's been so many Lovecraft games that I've played that have basically like aggressively bad gameplay that this is like a status quo change for me. Oh. What does that mean? Like, I just said it's a new moon state, because we know that it's a new moon. Still, I'm feeling a little stuck. Am I still missing something? Does he actually say what the combination is? We need to open and close the right tubes. Yes. And I now have the cipher that we need to decode from one answer to another. Huh. Well, while I can figure out what to switch with which, how do I know what the answer was in the first place? What was the code? Oh. Oh, I thought I was gonna go play the piano. I thought I was gonna need to play the piano, but I think it's just the fact that they're on white and black keys. Is that what it is? I thought we were decoding what order to play the piano keys in. Okay. So I guess we need to figure out which ones are white. When I closed them, it put white stuff on the screen. So I guess we should assume that the white keys are open, or I mean are closed. And if I'm wrong, I'll just switch them. So we need to press 1, 4, and 5. But 1 becomes 5. And then 5... Let's see. Yeah, 1, 4, and 5. So 4 becomes 1, and 5 becomes 3. So we need to press 1, 3, 5. 5 being the elevator up and down symbol. Nope. And if this is wrong, I'll just flip all of them to the opposite. What was this one? No. What could go wrong? So 1, 3, 5. Cool. Yeah, 1, 4, 5 becomes 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's switch all of them, and hopefully I will have pressed 7 things, and then I'll know that I've done it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there must be one on the other staircase that I've never pressed before. I think there's another one over here that I've never seen. Seven. That's the broken staircase we saw before. So now there's only 3 that are closed. 1, 3, and 5. Huh. Huh. I'm wrong about something. Let's go see if I can play the piano and see if I can make something out of that. We can make sense out of this. They're pretty far apart. I'm well on my way to starting a third episode in the same building, now that I'm going back there at the beginning of this episode. Getting really familiar with this particular location, I guess. Maybe it's the sequence? I just play them in that order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, then the key above it. It's like bing, 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 bing. Dung, 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 dung. Okay. So I think we were taking the water level to find the calibration cipher, and then we're recording the hertz measurements of the piano notes that were represented by each of those keys, and then we use these 3 as the answer for the altar upstairs. I think that's the idea. You probably close all of them and open these 3. There's a lot of steps here. So 262 is 1. 349 is 4. 415 is 6. So not 145, it's 146. We were close, but not close enough.